So, what did you just... Was that your phone? Did your phone go off right when the show started? Like literally the
Yeah.
moment that the show
Yeah.
started?
Yeah.
Why would it do that?
It was telling me that it was like, hey, you canceled the I-9 appointment.
I just want everyone to know that Michelle does not put her phone in silent
I
because she
can't.
doesn't care about
I
my feelings.
I can't. I don't
Why
know
can't you?
who's gonna need me, and if I don't hear it, and then I don't get back to them, and then I lose a job, what am I supposed to do?
It's hard being so important. I know. I mean, for you. I mean, I've seen it be hard for you. I don't know what it's like myself, but I've heard such things.
Sure.
Um, you could put it on vibrate.
If you want me to, I'll put it on vibrate. I'm just not gonna know by the sound what if it's something I need to respond to or not. So it's gonna have to keep checking it.
Right. As opposed to hearing the sound on the show.
Please, it's
I'm
not
sorry.
that big
I
of a deal.
I didn't realize my co-host was a medical doctor. Jeez, gotta take.
You know, when you said we were gonna stream this, you were like, so it'll be a little bit more informal and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, I guess I could just leave my phone sound on. But that
No,
was a
no.
lie.
That
That
no,
was
that was
a
true
lie.
then, but the rules have changed, and
Oh,
now it's hurtful.
okay.
So we have comments in here from David Denoyer saying, "I am so in from the title of this episode alone." Um, and then Ray Cersei saying, replying to David, exactly how I felt. And then she said, Henrik, be nice. Never. So last night I had an interesting experience as I'm adjusting my microphone, which needed more adjusting than I realized. I had an interesting experience because I went down a trip. I went on a trip down memory lane of a film that I had not seen since I was a very little kid, and watched a film with my buddy David that he had not seen since he was a very little kid. So we started the night with David's childhood favorite movie called Cloak and Dagger. Maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't. Have you seen it, Michelle?
No.
Well, it's about a little boy who fantasizes about being a secret agent by playing games like Cloak and Dagger and stuff like that. And then he ends up getting a government secret in a cartridge that looks like an Atari game of Cloak and Dagger. So he has to basically like defend himself from these bad guys and yada yada yada. And it's I think it's a 1984 film. So due to it being
Okay.
from the 80s, there's like a lot of inappropriate stuff. Like the kid shoots a guy dead, but he's like 11. You know, the kid that shoots him, and they're like threatening to kill children and things like that. It's just a little bit more than you would expect from a movie now, like playing on the Disney Channel or whatever. So what were you gonna say?
I don't know. I don't watch movies on the Disney Channel now, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were threatening to kill kids and shooting people.
Really? They've
I don't
gotten a
know.
lot more toned down in these days. So
Yeah.
but I enjoyed watching it. It was really fun. It's a fun movie. Like I said, it's a little bit, of its time. They wouldn't do it now. Like there's a part where the kid ends up having to lay in the trunk of a car with the dead
Mhm.
body of the older friend he had who ran the computer store. And like he's been
Oh,
shot
wow,
through
that
the eye
sucks.
with a gun. No, he's like laying on the corpse twice. There are two
Wow.
scenes where he has to lay on the corpse in the back of that car. So, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's a little bit more, the stakes were higher than a lot of kids' movies tend to do these days. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So, but after Dave and I watched that, I had a few weeks earlier, he and I had talked about movies we watched as kids. And I was reminded of a movie called Mio in the Land of Faraway, or as I discovered it when I was a kid, it was just called The Land of Faraway. And it's a fantasy kids movie based on a fantasy kids book from 1954, a Swedish book that was published in English as well. And the weird thing about that movie is very few people have seen it other than me, but it had it was released. It was on VHS. I rented it at the library all the time. So, and if I rented it, I asked my mother to confirm, did I rent that at the library? And she said yes. She vaguely remembers because there was only one fantasy movie I liked other than the cartoon Hobbit, and that was The Land of Faraway. And my mom confirmed I got that at the library, which means I had to be under 8 years old when I was watching it. Because we didn't rent movies at the library after I turned 8 because we moved. Do you need to take a phone call?
Now my business line is buzzing.
Okay. I'll switch over. You give me a peace sign when you're ready to come back on the air. So while Michelle is handling some very important business, because Michelle is very important and business, I'm going to hang out with you guys in the chat for a minute, and she's going to take care of her call. So let's see. Rob Fields commented, Henrique, nice. Thanks. I know I can be a cruel sumbitch. So let's see. Ray Cersei said, I've seen it. That's a great movie. I'm assuming that you're referring to Cloak and Dagger, because there's no way you're referring to Mio and the Land of Faraway. There's just no way. Renee Thompson over on YouTube said, hi. Hello, Renee. I hope you're having an excellent day. I am very well. So, and then Rob Fields commented and said, I have my copy of Cloak and Dagger from Vinegar Syndrome. I'll have to watch it soon. You definitely should. And we have Michelle back looking kawaii.
Sure.
For the record, I didn't ask you to throw a peace sign to be kawaii. It was just the first thing that came to my head because I was trying to make it seem like I was trying to make it so seamless that it seemed like I had a plan for when this happens, when in reality I made it up as your phone was ringing. Because I'm a broadcast professional. So, what is it? Cars extended warranty, or was it?
No, search engine optimization company. Kind of bothering me. And it's someone I asked to call me in August, and for some reason he's calling me now, and so I just basically hung up on him. I said, I'm sorry, I have to go.
You said, I'm sorry, you're not important.
No,
they're not.
Said, he started yeah.
I'm listening.
Oh, he started talking, and I was trying to get him to stop so that I could say something. And then I was like, I'm really sorry. I'm in the middle of something. I can't talk right now. And then he just kept talking. And, yeah.
Peace out.
Just talk about what you were talking about.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're totally fine. I was just, the only reason I was looking off to the side is while you were talking, I was just getting the Land of Faraway VHS tape cover up for us to look at in a minute. That's all. So, I wanted you to see this. What I was talking about was, I was reading the chat, which I'll actually finish doing that real quick. So Rob Fields, I just read. Azure Wolf said, good afternoon. Good afternoon to you too. You've been around for a lot of my streams and I appreciate it. Ray Cersei said, yeah, Cloak and Dagger, LOL. I wanted to make sure she had not seen The Land of Faraway, which I figured was impossible. How would she have ever seen it? And then Are You Game? My buddy Paul Lee commented, how are you doing, sir? I still have my Cloak and Dagger VHS. Nice. Well, I am very well, but I'm extra well because I watched this film, which was originally titled Mio and the Land of Faraway, or just The Land of Faraway. And let's see. So, Michelle, right on the screen, that's the VHS tape I remember.
Okay.
Cool. Does it not look epic? I mean, come on.
It does. No, it does look epic. Yeah.
You can say you hate it. That's fine.
No,
you can say my childhood was trash. I get it.
I would watch it, probably.
Be careful what you wish for. It's not actually a bad movie. It's just a kid's movie, But let's see if I can pull up the back cover. 11-year-old. Oh, I can't read it. It's too small. Okay, never mind. I was going to try and read the description, but can I zoom in?
It says you can.
There we go. Oh, wow. It's actually pretty clear. Okay. 11-year-old Bosse. Oh, these Swedish names are impossible. 11-year-old Bosse Ossison, who lives in Stockholm with his overbearing Aunt Edna, dreams of finding the father he has never known. One night, Bosse rescues a spirit trapped in an empty bottle. Recognizing Bosse, the spirit flies him to the beautiful land of Faraway, where Bosse is united with his father, the king of the land of Faraway. Bosse learns that his real name is Mio, and that he is the king's long-lost son. First of all, I want to point out, he does not live with his aunt Edna and his uncle. They are his adopted parents who hate him so much they make him call them aunt and uncle because they wanted a little girl and they ended up stuck with him.
Wow.
I love this movie. It's so dark. I just wanted to point that out first and foremost. They don't like him. And the opening, so the movie, because it's based on a children's book and it's for children, there's a lot of voiceover narration, of the kid kind of explaining his life and what he's thinking and what he feels about things. And he mentions that his mother died during childbirth, but that no one cared to let his father know. That's literally how he describes how he came into the world. My mother died giving birth to me, and no one felt the need to contact my father. Or, nobody cared to contact my father. That's how he said it. Nobody cared. It's very, very sad.
Yeah.
So the other part, it says, the father and son's joy is short-lived, however. Kato, the evil knight from the neighboring land outside, has kidnapped and placed terrible spells on most of the kingdom's children.
Oh.
According to an ancient legend, only a male child of royal blood can destroy Kato and deliver the children. So, on a white horse named Miramis, Mio and his friend Jum Jum set out for Kato's castle. Sorry, I think I talked over you. Were you going to say something about?
No, I don't think so.
So Kato is played by the legendary Christopher Lee, and he's terrifying in this movie. When I was a little kid, I was very afraid of Kato. And I saw The Land of Faraway. So Christopher Lee, because I know you're not really familiar with him. He's most famous for playing Dracula in the United Kingdom. He played Dracula in the UK's most famous version of Dracula, as well as Jess Franco's Dracula, but that's a whole other conversation for another time. But I knew very well who he was in my teens because I'd watch all those movies and had no idea that when I watched The Land of Faraway that it was Christopher Lee playing the villain in it. I had no idea. So this next, I'm going to finish reading the back of the box and then we can continue. The journey is perilous. Though. Kato's spies capture first Miramis, then, after a chase through the dead forest, Mio and Jum Jum. But thanks to an invisible cloak, Mio is able... This is giving away the entire story!
Movie.
This is the official VHS box. It's literally... This literally tells you how it ends.
Oh, wow.
Listen, I mean, whatever. But thanks to the invisible cloak, Mio is able to escape. I mean, it came out in 1984. You got to do what you got to do. Or 87. It doesn't matter. 87. It came out in 87. Armed with his magic sword, Mio engages the crafty Kato in a sword fight. The fate of the captured children and the future of the land of Faraway hang in the balance as good battles evil. Okay, so it doesn't give us the whole ending. Yeah. It gets us to the last 6 minutes of the movie.
Wow.
To the last 6 minutes of the film. Wow, indeed. So this is the film I showed Dave over last night. And yeah. Hold on. So let's take some chats real quick. Rob Field said, reminds me of Harry Potter. Fair. I mean, it was a little bit later, but it does. But a lot of these, apparently, I'm not a big fantasy guy myself, but apparently a lot of these fantasy movies and fantasy stories are about somebody going to somewhere far away and finding out their new name and finding out their new family and stuff like that. That was apparently a trope at one point, like to have no parents and then find out your parents were mysterious. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense if you're a kid and maybe you're not happy with your parents. It's nice to be able to believe that somewhere in the universe are people who would be kinder to you, even if they are kind to you.
That's a fair point. RU Game commented, the 80s had some very dark, quote, kids movies like Something Wicked, Black Cauldron, and Peanut Butter Solution, which I've never seen Peanut Butter Solution, but I've heard it is like terrifying. like really terrifying. David Denoyer said, "Oh my God, the synopsis writer got a little too carried away." And then he said, "You haven't mentioned who plays Jum Jum. Jum Jum is played by Christian Bale at like 10 years old. Little Batman is the sidekick in this quest to commit murder." Oh yes, because the magic sword, the reason it's magic is it can cut through stone, and it has to, because Kato's heart is made of stone. So
they should have put that in the description.
I know, maybe they were like, that's too dark, bro. We want to leave some surprises. So I want to point out that, so this movie is Swedish, but it's not just Swedish. It's a co-production between Sweden and I believe Poland and the Soviet Union at the time. So it was shot in Stockholm, Crimea, Ukraine, and Moscow, as well as Scotland. Scotland is where they filmed the exteriors of of Kato's castle, because they have a lot of beautiful castles out there. Mm-hmm. So like the sets and stuff were all in Moscow. And it was directed by a famous, I'm not going to butcher his name, a famous Russian director who actually, I just found this out, he is the head of Russian Disney now. Yeah. Like he was so well regarded for making kids movies that as the Russian Federation was formed and yada yada, he became the head of Disney Russia. So he's the guy there, and he made The Land of Faraway, a movie that had a lot of influence on me. So David Denoyer said, he's such a cute little American psycho. Well played. There is that cute part where he goes, "Mio, do you like Huey Lewis and the News?" So that's for people who've seen American Psycho, not Michelle. So my thing with this movie, and with my point of bringing all this up, is that David shows me his favorite movie, and I'm like, wow, this is like a little bit more dark than you'd expect, and it's kind of kooky and wild and a little bit more of like a super action movie. Like, I totally see why Dave would like that, knowing him as an adult now. Then I show Dave my favorite kids movie, and he's like, this is really sad. This is like so depressing. And I was like, yeah, it all starts to add up, doesn't it? So, because literally the movie, first of all, I didn't know this as a kid. As a kid, I knew it took place in a foreign land because most of the characters had English accents. It was shot in English because it was for the international market, which basically in those days, international market meant English speaking territory. So it meant, Britain, their colonies, America, and Australia. That was the international territory, because that's a pretty big territory of English speakers who also consume lots of movies. And Britain, Australia, and America made most of the movies for the international market. So like Mad Max is a good example. That was made for the international market, but it was an Australian movie. So the movie opens with them in Stockholm, Sweden. And what I can only remember, I watched this for the first time as an adult, like yesterday. The last time I'd seen this was more than 20 years ago. And I'm 34 now. Last time I saw it I was like 8 years old, or 7 or 8 years old. Yeah. And so the movie opens and he's like in his little Swedish neighborhood. And first of all, it is just the epitome of Eastern European sad looking. You know what I'm talking about? Like that really sad looking European city look. Like it just has a vibe that like everything's run down and everyone's sad, which I think is on some of that's just how Europe is, but I mean the people acting really despondent and stuff, that's on purpose. So Mio, he's like, he has a best friend, and that best friend takes him to fly a kite, and Mio's all sad because his friend has a dad, and his dad is super nice, and he said, even in his voiceover, he even says like, I wish he was my father, and you're like, oh, that's a delightful children's story. But when he comes home, on the way home, he stops at the corner store to buy crackers. Not the salty kind, because his uncle can't eat those. He gets home late. His aunt yells at him for tracking mud in, being late, and then the crackers have salt on them. And because of his uncle's heart, he can't have crackers. So she yells at him and tells him, like, go to your room. No dinner. Just go to your room. I'm very upset with you. And this is like Oh, and I forgot to mention the part where a bunch of kids took his brand new wool hat and knocked it around with their hockey sticks until it got all dirty and ruined. I forgot that happened earlier too. Like everybody, the only thing missing from this movie, if I were remaking this movie today, Mio would get like punched in the face and have like a really bloody nose because there wasn't enough physical violence on Mio. It was just it was all psychological.
Yeah, you gotta.
So Mio is like all despondent. And now he's laying in bed crying while he hears his aunt and uncle, who remember are not his aunt and uncle. They are his legal adopted guardians who have made him call them aunt and uncle because they don't want him. He literally mentions that the reason he calls them aunt and uncle is that when they went to the orphanage, they didn't have any little girls, and that's all they wanted were little girls.
Why did they get him though?
Because they probably felt bad and then didn't realize how truly evil he was, which is what Aunt Edna calls him. Says like, that boy is evil. He's not just bad, he's evil. So he's crying in bed and Aunt Edna's literally telling the uncle, like, we should just get rid of him. Like, we should just return him to the orphanage or send him away or something because he doesn't respect us. He's evil. He's rotten to the core. He's all these terrible things. So that's like the first 6 minutes. So he runs away from home, and the beautiful woman who runs the sweet shop that's always so nice to him stops him as he's leaving and offers him an apple. And he takes the apple, and I cried when she gave him the apple. I remembered those scenes like very much from being really little. So she gives him an apple and asks him if he'll run something to the post box while, when he leaves. So he says, sure. And she says, but it has to be the post box on the end of the street. Well, the postcard is to the land of Faraway. And then then a few things happen. A wizard that is just a giant head with a giant beard floating in the sky shows up and realizes this kid is who he's looking for, lets the kid grab onto his beard, and then they fly through space to the land of Faraway. That is how the movie starts.
Okay.
And I love it. It's stupid and full of, well, this part, see, there's the thing. And this is the way I am with lots of fantasy movies. I love everything before he goes to the land of Faraway. Like, I think it's just like, it's well executed, well acted. It's super sad, but like it makes you care for Bosse before he becomes Mio. It makes you care about Bosse. But then once it goes to the land of Faraway, I have my own problems with getting into fantasy. But that's my thing. Like, I can watch a fantasy movie and be like, I didn't really like it, but I'm sure if you like fantasy, you like it. Like, it's just not my thing. But this movie is really bizarre. And I think that that's helped by the Soviet Union element, that they shot some of it in the Soviet Union, including shooting during the week Chernobyl melted down and they had to shut production down for a week because they were filming in Crimea at the time. Completely crazy. Because they said when they came back a week later, Christian Bale said that they were using a Geiger counter on everyone's food before lunch. But and Christopher Lee said that it was just miserable. That it was just like the food was terrible. The technicians were working really slowly for no reason, and it was just a very boring experience and an unpleasant experience. But then he actually said he was like pretty much all Russian movies at that point in time. Like in the 80s, he was like, every Russian movie I worked on was like that. So, and you got to remember, he's in Europe, so it's not as weird for him to go across the Iron Curtain to work as it would be if you were like an American actor. Although there are multiple American actors in the movie. So, yeah. So, I guess he goes to the land of Faraway and then finds out he has to kill this bad guy, and it's his destiny. That's another thing they do a lot is like everyone that meets him already knows what his destiny is. But he doesn't. So they're like, because like he goes to his father and says, Father, what's across the bridge? And he goes, so soon. Like, that's the first thing he says. So soon, So he has to go and fight Kato. Kato has, instead of a left hand, he has a metal claw, which he uses to rip out people's hearts and replace them with hearts of stone and hatred that make them his servants. And if you refuse the heart of stone, like all of the children of the land of Faraway did, they're cursed to become birds, forever circling the castle until the day the last brick has eroded to dust. So when they get to the castle, you hear all these, oh. And I remember I turned to Dave and said, and Dave was like, man, those birds are loud. And I was like, Dave, that's the voice of the damned. And he was like, Oh. So that's what the movie is.
Wow.
Right? So let's take a couple chats. Ray Mattis said, I was 5 years old when I saw Time Bandits, rated PG. The end mortified me and gave me nightmares for a month. I believe that. I haven't seen Time Bandits in forever either. Oh, Patty Stevens is in here. She said, hi, gang. And then David said, he's introduced us to being scolded by his aunt, then bullies gang up on him, and then the aunt scolds him to the point of running away. Yeah, and she scolds him for ruining his hat, too. Oh, wow.
Aww.
Patty's good. Patty said, let me guess, the shirt. Politics ruin everything. Close. Politics ruins everything. Which, now that I'm thinking about it, is that proper English? I bought it on Amazon. Jay Bayless commented, damn it, I'm late again. And then Rince Winkle said, oh, it's Counselor of War from Twitch. Hope you're both well. I'm pretty good. How are you doing, Michelle?
Not good.
Good to see you.
Thanks
well, yeah, that's
for asking. Yeah.
Rob Fields did a spooky face. Patty Stevens wanted to know what we were discussing. Sorry, I'm a little late. I'm discussing a childhood movie that had that was really weird that I just revisited. And I intend to then pick Michelle's brain about some of the weird childhood movies she's watched as well. Amanda commented, hello guys. Hey, Amanda. Hope you're doing super well. Jay Bayless commented, don't use a Geiger counter before eating your food. You fool. Oh, and then Counselor War can confirm Rince Windle is me. So Rob Fields, he said it's available on DVD on Amazon for $19.99. That DVD may be an import that doesn't work on a normal player. I know that doesn't matter to Rob because Rob is without region, but I wanted to point that out. Rob said no argument on that when it comes to your t-shirt. Thank you. And Patty said that t-shirt is great. Thank you. I meant to point out the shirt at the beginning, but I was too excited to talk about the Land of Faraway, to be honest. So that's the Land of Faraway. If you want, I'll show you the trailer real quick, and then maybe you could tell me about some movie you really like from when you were a kid. Because I know one movie I want to bring up is One Magic Christmas that you suggested I watch, and it's the most sad thing ever, but I loved every second of it.
Yeah.
So this is the trailer, which I don't know if I've ever actually seen this. Mio in the Land of Faraway. There's the head.
Huh.
He's literally flying through space. Oh, there's his dad, who keeps saying, Mio, my Mio. Mio, my Mio.
The evil knight.
Oh yeah, and every time people say Kato, things like wind happens and lightning happens and stuff.
I'm frightened, Yum Yum. Why me? Only a male child.
Look, there he is.
The evil knight.
Christian Bale is
Oh,
Yum
okay.
Yum.
Wow.
I know, all I imagine whenever it cut to him is I imagine the little kid going, get the fuck out of my fucking scene, I'm trying to fucking work! I don't know if you remember when that happened, when he was screaming. He was screaming at crew people. All right, so there's the white horse. They're like riding around on it, having a great time. And there's the dead forest. Yeah, everything around this castle is dead. There's the damned flying around the castle.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't like a little bit of the damned? The music is really good in this movie. Apparently the theme song, Mio My Mio, was a #1 hit in Sweden.
Oh.
Oh yeah, and when they're see this room right here, that room right there is the dungeon that Kato puts them in, so that it says he will not return until they're both a pile of tiny white bones.
Oh.
And then he points out that because the castle is such concentrated evil, that'll only take one night.
Oh.
That like when you're surrounded by all of that hatred and sadness and evil, that you starve faster. And one night is impossible to survive.
I mean, that's pretty impressive. That's not very long at all.
No, it sounds like science, though. Sounds like science to me.
I mean, maybe time works differently. So one night is really not one night. you know.
That could be. I mean, it's left a little ambiguous.
Mhm.
There's also reference to when he gets the sword that the swordsmith made to kill him, that he gives to Mio, where when he holds the sword, he's like, "This is the most dangerous weapon I've ever held. This weapon cannot be used to harm good, only evil." Which I was like, oh, so it's like that.
Yeah.
I kind of like, I do, the one thing I do like about fantasy is that everything is poetic.
Mm.
You know, like that you could be so betrayed that you curse an entire land with your like your emotional state,
Yeah.
as opposed to just cursing the people closest to you. Poor Michelle. All right, anyway, more trailer. Mio in the land of Faraway. This is a terrible trailer, by the way.
Cape,
Susanna York.
the finest fabric I ever wove.
I do love that.
Come here.
Oh, and there's the crazy old man that lives in a cave.
Oh.
Shh.
Be quiet, or they'll capture us too.
Oh yeah, and they steal the horse, so they pull a little bit of a Never-Ending Story. This is a few years after Never-Ending Story, and a lot of people pointed that out, like in reviewers and stuff. So that guy you just saw that was all like sweaty, saying like "Heart of Stone," he's the slave that has to make all of the swords Kato uses to murder innocent people, and he's gone completely insane from it.
Yeah.
Which is like, I just like, I like that actually. I think that's good storytelling, that like he's gone insane from what they've used his weapons for. That's why he made a sword that could only kill Kato.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the claw. I'm getting goosebumps when I see this stuff. Like, I think this is an international trailer, which they tend to show like way more spoilers because they're what you show like distributing companies to get them to buy the movie.
Okay.
I'll explain that more in just a second. Meow, my meow. Do, 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 do. Okay, so that is the trailer for The Land of Faraway. And the other thing that creeped David out, by the way, when we were watching it, is there's this part where they play a flute, and they play this tune. Do 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 do. Yeah, okay, I'll stop. But Dave was shocked because I started singing along and remembered the whole thing, even though I hadn't heard it since I was 7.
Yeah.
It's a major plot point. It plays multiple times. So anyway, it was a cool trip down memory lane, and it's been a while since I got to watch a movie that I saw as a kid and never revisited ever until now. Because most of those happened in my 20s, you know? So, let's see what we got in the chat. Rince Windle said, Windle? I don't know how I'm saying, Rincewind? I'm sorry, I'm trying my best. He said the overshirt flamingos are where it's at. Thank you. This is one of my favorite shirts for the summertime. Jay Bayless said, 100% agree on Time Bandits. My brain hurt after that ending. David Denoyer commented, said, if Michelle was raised on One Magic Christmas, this explains a lot. Sorry, Michelle. And then Rincewind said, looks like a classic 80s tale. Absolutely. And I highly recommend you check it out. I think it's more readily available in England than it is in the States. So Michelle, what's a film that you watched like way too much when you were a kid?
I don't really know.
Oh, come on. I talked for 35 minutes to give you time to plan for what you were going to say.
I was just listening to you. I wasn't planning.
That's a horrible mistake. You should never listen to what I'm saying. That's a dangerous, slippery slope.
Oh.
Well, what about One Magic Christmas? When did you first see that?
I don't know.
You don't know? I mean, you don't have a ballpark?
No, just amount of time. Like, I used to watch it with my family. So I don't know when I first saw it on a VHS, but that we taped from TV, but I don't know when we taped it from TV.
Listen, I'm not asking you to give like I had perfect details for some of it because I had like there were a few things that allowed me to know it was couldn't have been older than 8 because we stopped going to the library when we stopped living near the library. So I'm not asking you to say like when I was 7 I watched it. I mean, but you were a kid, right?
Yeah.
Like you were what were you, probably 10, probably 15, like just somewhere in like
No.
the neighborhood of like little kid or older kid or like
a probably not 15, probably younger than that person.
Okay, so like bit younger, maybe preteen.
Definitely
Okay.
preteen. Yeah.
Okay. It's I like how now all of a sudden you have tons of details. You're always bullying me. People see this. You know, people think you're nice, but you're really very mean. You're like a big bully. What?
Everybody thinks I'm nice.
So, I don't know, for those who don't know One Magic Christmas, can you lay out like you don't have to lay it out in as grand of detail as I laid out Mio. I laid out Mio so much because I watched it last night. But can you lay out a little bit of the setting of One Magic Christmas for those who have not seen it?
I think so. I haven't seen it in a while, so I don't have.
Just do your best.
You know, but basically, okay. Basically, there's a family and they're like not doing so well, and then like I don't know, the dad dies in some sort of accident, and
Doesn't
then
he get shot?
the kids. Oh right, he's in the bank, and he's like trying to stop a and he ends up getting shot, and then the bank robber takes the car with his kids inside because they were waiting outside for him to come out of the bank. And so they take the car, and then he's like trying to get away from the cops, and he ends up like driving into a river and then or a pond or something, and dying. And so the mom thinks that the kids died and her husband died, and everything is really, really sad and bad. But the kids actually ended up in the North Pole, but I don't remember how.
I mean, how does anybody end up at the North Pole? You know, it's magic.
Oh right, doesn't that guy just bring them to the North Pole because he's like, yeah, you want to like make
Harry Dean
everything
Stanton,
better?
or the angel. The actor's name is Harry Dean. I'd like to think he's like, hello, I'm Harry Dean Stanton. Come with me to the North Pole. And they're like,
Yeah.
weren't you in And they're like, weren't you in Repo Man? He's like, you're awfully young to be watching that movie, but yes. Anyway, continue, please. You're nailing it now.
Yeah, and then they go and basically I don't know, they're like hanging out with Santa and stuff, and Santa's elves are like dead people.
Yep.
So
and Mary Steenburgen, who plays the mom, is stuck just believing that everyone she loves is dead.
Yeah.
I'm only laughing. I really love this movie. You're the one who brought this movie to my attention. Because I basically challenged you. I was like, hey, Michelle, what's the sad... Because you hooked me up with some of the saddest Christmas movies. Because the other one was Home by Christmas. The one with Linda Hamilton where she's homeless. Which, I don't know if I told you, that ended up... I don't know if it's still there, but that ended up on Hulu. Like with an HD transfer and everything. Like it looked beautiful.
Wow.
I have a DVD that's out of print of it. That way, whenever I want to cry, I'm like ready to rock. I've got it locked and loaded. Linda Hamilton being homeless, super sad. That movie's so sad because she was like rich and married and then gets divorced and has to learn how to be broke. It's so sad, but it ends beautifully. It's one of those really early Lifetime movies from the 90s. I believe it was the 90s, or maybe it was the early 2000s. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was an early one. Because Lifetime original movies really, started peaking like 10 years ago to where it was like everybody was talking about them. Christmas movies, I mean. So Rob Fields just commented, said Michelle was sleeping with her eyes open. That's fair. Jay Bayless said, stop interrogating her, FBI. Jeez. I have to interrogate Michelle. That's how you get the humor out. Is you go, answer the question. And then once the tears stop, she's very funny, actually. And then David Miller said, yeah, you destroyed me with Home by Christmas. Yeah, I feel like Home by Christmas is another movie that, other than you, everyone I know who's seen it, it's because of me.
Yeah, and I only saw it because I just happened to be watching Lifetime one time, and I was like, "My God, how did like I find this movie? This is like the perfect Michelle movie."
Yeah, that's so wild that it was just playing and you found it, and then you remember the title, or did you remember the title, or did we have to like do some sleuthing?
I think we get to like figure it out, maybe, or I don't really remember.
I think, you know what, I think now I'm thinking about it, I think I Googled like Lifetime Christmas living in car or something and found it. I think that's how it actually happened now that I'm thinking about it. But it's a great little movie. Definitely good. I could cry if I tell how it ends, so I don't want to spoil it anyway. But great ending. But yeah, One Magic Christmas, great way to just tear your goddamn heart out and make you feel those Christmassy feels.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. David, Hen, remember when I showed you Frankenstein and Me? I don't want to talk about it. Just need a minute. Nothing. Although nothing will get me worse than the end of Monster Squad when Frankenstein and Phoebe get separated. I showed you Monster Squad, right? Or no?
You did. Yeah.
Okay, good. It's an important film. So are there any other films you remember, like One Magic Christmas or just a kid's movie that just like really stuck out to you?
I guess I probably watched Neverending Story a lot, I think.
Yeah. No, I was a big fan of the Neverending Story as well. That was one of the other like few fantasy movies that really got me when I was a kid. But I think that was everybody loved Falkor and everybody, because that was such a great movie. That was a really good one. And of course, everybody likes to remember the first time they were horribly scarred, which was when the horse dies. When it drowns in the swamp. Yep. David just said, remember the tar pits. Yep. Yeah. Alan Holloway said, bah humbug. And then he said, tear jerker. And then Rob Field said, Monster Squad is one of the greats. And then David said, remember the tar pits. I remember. That's harsh. I remember that meme going around that said like new cut of new cut of the Neverending Story, but it's just 2 hours of that scene like looping. And I was like, that's a good way to toughen up. The weird thing, the weird thing about that movie, Cloak and Dagger, is his imaginary friend is like a cold-blooded spy who like regularly says like when people die in real life, and that's his only friend, he says like they weren't good enough is what he says for why they're dead, because he's a spy and that's his thing, is like they weren't good enough, that's why they died. And I remember turning to Dave a few times and going like, this kid's like, this is just this kid's sociopathic tendencies are being represented by the spy. And I remember I kept making jokes like whenever he would like turn to say something to the kid, I'd be like, did you kill that stray cat like I told you to? Did you kill that stray cat like I told you to? You need to learn. You got to learn. You don't need to learn to love it, but you got to learn not to hate it. Like stuff like that. Or like when he shoots a guy dead and he's laying there, like I just imagine his imaginary friend's like, look him in the eyes, watch it fade away. But actually, not to be a huge spoiler, but actually that is kind of the point though. It turns out is that the kid realizes that these aren't games anymore and that he doesn't want to play this kind of game with his imaginary friend anymore, because now he understands that it's real life and people die and it's not fun at all. So, yeah. Alan Holloway commented, great movie, Cloak and Dagger, classic. It is. It really is a great one. So, did you ever watch a movie that somebody pointed out was kind of like Cloak and Dagger? Did you ever watch War Games?
No.
What did you watch? You got to tell me what you watched, because you didn't watch any of the good stuff.
I don't know.
Do you know what War Games is?
I don't know. I don't know.
You've never heard of War Games?
No, I have. But
okay, so
it's
about
right now.
It's about kids that were like ended up accidentally playing a game with like the American nuclear missile codes, basically. Yeah, so they might accidentally cause thermonuclear war through playing a video game.
That's not good.
It's really a good movie.
Yeah, that's
though.
not good.
It's really, really good. Oh God, David Denoyer said kind of like at the end of Uncle Sam. So since that's topical, we could talk about Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam was a horror movie that I know a lot of people haven't seen this one. I know you haven't seen this one, Michelle, but Uncle Sam is a slasher movie from the 90s about the 4th of July, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And about basically a crazed killer soldier who dies overseas, but then comes back as like, hey, it's Giggs.
Please don't step on the mouse.
Do what you got to do, Giggs. It's okay. Oh God, I think Giggs muted you.
Oh no!
Oh, we just lost Michelle to Cat. Oh, there she is.
I don't know what to do. Me?
Yeah, I can see you. You're just out of center.
Oh, okay. Well, I can center myself, but can you?
There you go.
Am I okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can see you and hear you. You're a little
okay.
off-center,
She did something to my. Yeah, I don't know if I can fix that.
Your audio just cut out. You have no sound. Oh my gosh. We have serious cat problems going on. No sound. I'll tell you when I can hear you. No sound. Oh my gosh. I will gladly say when I can hear you. I can't hear you. I don't know what you're saying. Oh God. You just leave the room and come back in. I think that's the best option. Oh God, it's Giggs again. Giggs is attacking. Folks, this is this is a tragic moment. Giggs has decided finally to take over Michelle. This is the end of Michelle as we know it. Giggs has taken over. I'm sorry. Michelle has fallen. Giggs is the new supreme leader of the home. And I don't know. Oh, hold on. I think we have Michelle back. Michelle, are you there?
Hear me?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Sorry, Giggs was literally on my keyboard and I didn't know what to do.
We could see. We can see.
And now she's leaving the table. Wait, don't go.
Oh my God. Oh, that was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Oh my God. Oh, I don't know if you could hear what I was saying while it was all happening or not. I was basically reporting like I was a newscaster and a tragedy was happening. And there was nothing. It was like, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, but what you're witnessing can't be avoided. Giggs has taken over. Oh, okay. Let's see some chats real quick while I get my face back in order. Are You Game commented, not 80s, but 10,000 Fingers of Dr. T is an acid trip. Okay. I've not heard of that one. Jeff McClellan commented and said, War Games is the best, and Dabney Coleman is in that one just like Cloak and Dagger. Oh, yeah. Are You Game said, Michelle went outside and wasn't raised by a TV like some of us. Or was the TV only on anime? Either way.
There was an anime on TV.
Not until your late or your early teens, probably, was when Cartoon Network started showing some stuff.
Even then, it wasn't like it was all day or something.
Oh, yeah. I remember when I was a teenager, they used to sell anime on late night advertising. They'd sell tapes of anime on late night TV. Mostly Akira. Akira was constantly being sold on VHS on late night cable. Jay Bayless said, "I am just here for the cameo of Giggs. Well, this was your time to shine, my friend." And then he said, "Sign language."
Yeah.
Rob Fields commented, "Here's your next horror movie." And no, really, it was you'll need to. I'll clip that piece for you, Michelle, and send it to you so you can see how it all looked to everybody. It looked like Giggs was just fucking taking you out, and it was it. That was it. Yeah, David Denoyer said, "This is one for the highlight reel." And then Jay said, "She's no longer content to be a bit player on this podcast." It's true. Giggs is making moves, man. I remember as that was happening, I was like,
I feel bad now because.
Oh no, please.
I feel bad. Yeah, our things are a little out of sync if you haven't noticed.
They are. Yeah.
But yeah, I just feel bad because I took her off and she was just like, "Okay, you don't want me here," and then she left.
That's unfortunately the truth. Meanwhile, Henwolf is just sleeping next to my foot, so she's not pushing me around yet. Although, don't be surprised if one day on the show you just see Henwolf's face, and then like she pants for like 3 seconds, and then it just cuts to nothing, and that's no one ever sees me again. That's the end of it. Rob Fields commented and said, "The movie Giggs. The tagline: This cat's back in the game for real." I'm sorry, it was very funny. I know it was a little like maybe it was frustrating for you, but it was just really funny because it was just clear like everything had gone haywire. And then it would like get pixelated, and then you would just see Giggs's body, and then you like going like, and then just Giggs's body, and then it cut to black. It was like it was really terrifying.
Good.
Oh, okay. So what I was going to mention was the movie Uncle Sam. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's a movie that I've always been a big fan of. Can I zoom in on this? Why is it getting smaller? Google image sucks, man. Can I just copy image location? Okay. Sorry about that. I'm trying to get this up.
Okay.
Here we go. All right. So this is Uncle Sam. Best tagline ever. I want you dead. So, and this is one of the many box covers. It was most famous for being on VHS. It was a lenticular cover, which means that if you turned it, it would change like as you adjusted it.
Uh-huh.
So it would look like normal Uncle Sam, and then it would turn to like Demon Uncle Sam, and then back to normal.
Cool.
But the great thing about Uncle Sam, sincerely, it's a cheesy slasher movie. It's a cheesy 90s slasher movie. But it has this massive, massive anti-war subtext that's barely even subtext. I mean, characters are just sitting there saying like, war is hell and all it does is turn good men into bad. And like, it's just like straight up, like all about hating on Desert Storm, all about hating on war, which makes the movie really interesting, but it's so heavy-handed that there are moments where you're like, so this is a cheesy slasher? And they're like, oh yeah, definitely. And you're like, okay, cool. I'm going to watch it. Sounds fun. And like, anyway, war is just about killing babies and women and burning them alive. And you're like, okay, but does it get to the scary stuff? They're like, oh yeah, it definitely does. Anyway, he's a wife beater. He beat her nearly to her death. She's glad he died overseas. And you're like, okay, when does it get to the fun, haha, it's a slasher movie? And they're like, not yet. Not yet. So, but it's a good, I actually, that's what makes the movie good to me. It actually, if it was just kind of the cheesy parts, they're fine. But the massive amount of just constant anti-war stuff is kind of what makes me love that movie. So,
cool.
Also the killer actually looks far more ridiculous than the poster. Hold on. So this is the killer. So
Wow.
He basically puts on an Uncle Sam outfit from somebody he kills during like a barbecue like event thing, 4th of July thing, and then goes around hacking people up because his body underneath is like charred and burnt and crispy. And he's a victim of friendly fire. That's how he died. That's like one of the big things they keep referencing is that he was a victim of friendly fire. Like they constantly are referencing it. Also, there's a little boy in the movie, which is kind of what made me think of this. There's a little boy in the movie who like worships his Uncle Sam. Literally his uncle is named Sam. He worships him because he thinks like being a war hero is awesome and he's going to enlist the moment he's 18 and all this stuff. And meanwhile, like his mom is just like, you know, is like, he doesn't know his Uncle Sam beat his wife like forever. And then like,
shit.
and like the reason he was overseas was he liked killing people so much and all this stuff. Like it's really dark. And there's like a scene where Uncle Sam's sister and his wife, now that he's dead, they're like comforting each other because they're kind of glad he's gone because he was just such a terrible person. But they don't want to ruin the kids remembering of him because it's harmless for him to remember him as a war hero. You know, it's harmless. But he keeps like remembering, and there's a scene where they meet Uncle Sam's like one of his war buddies, and all he does is tell him like, you don't know how, like literally when I was making that joke about like sitting there just telling you how hellish war is, he literally does that to the little kid. Like tells him like, you know, do you know what it takes to get a silver star? You got to go out into a battlefield and do something so crazy and so evil that that the Congress gives you a star, sends you home, and prays you never do anything like that ever again. And I was like, Jesus, this movie. So highly recommended for your 4th of July viewing. Uncle Sam, available, just came out on 4K Blu-ray for an like impossibly expensive, like $30 some. So I haven't bought it yet, but you can rent it anywhere you get your horrifying, overbearingly non-subtle films about anti-war that are also a mass killer slasher movie. I love Uncle Sam. So, anyway, Michelle, I'm sorry gigs tried to take you, take your life, basically. Oh, Rob Fields pointed out, Uncle Sam is on Tubi, free with ads. Well, there you go.
Okay.
Now none of you have any excuse. That's your homework, kids. On the 4th of July, you got to watch Uncle Sam and report back. I expect a 2,000 word report on Uncle Sam. So, well, I'm sorry you didn't have a good childhood, Michelle, so you don't have any movies you remember. It's hard.
Yeah.
Michelle was too busy having siblings and a father. Must be nice. Must be nice. Hope you feel bad. Must be nice.
It was okay.
Rob Fields also comments in, don't forget about Return of the Living Dead. Return of the Living Dead does take place on July 3rd. So it is the pre-4th of July movie. Before we go, Michelle, I wanted to ask you, I got kind of caught up in the movie thing and then the gigs thing happened and everything, but I wanted to ask you, how are things going? I wanted you to update everybody on how things are going with your home inspecting business, because things have been a little bit more active.
I mean, maybe, but I mean, I had an inspection yesterday, but it's not like I have other inspections.
But people are contacting you. People are getting in touch with you. And was that last inspection you did they actually find you on your website?
No.
Was that the website one? Okay, that hasn't happened yet.
No, there were two website people, but neither of them responded to me when I tried to get in touch with them. So,
but still, people are seeing your website, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, two people.
You guess?
Two
is more than none. Two is more than none. You got to start somewhere.
Oh my God.
You got to learn to inspect crawling before you can inspect walking.
I guess that's true. I
believe is how the saying goes.
Yeah.
So I'm happy for you, though.
Thanks.
So things are happening.
I still haven't heard.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I still haven't heard from the person, the inspection people yesterday. You'd think I sent them the report. I mean, and you'd think that they'd want to like talk to me or something, but I guess not. I guess everything's fine, and they're fine with all those problems.
I mean, well, you are helping them like negotiate their price down or decide not to purchase, by giving them a inspection that's honest.
Yeah, no, but like since no one was there with me on the inspection, I just had a lockbox combination. No one was there for me to go like, this is what I see, and this is why it's a problem. So they're just, looking at a report and trying to figure out. So I'm surprised because of some of the stuff I caught could be serious. I'm surprised I haven't heard from them. But yeah.
Well, I think you're doing a great job, and I'm very excited to hear. Even if they're just leads that go nowhere, it's more than many people. Trust me, because there's this attitude that people have, that if you build it, they will come, and it's completely a lie. So having anybody see your website that's sitting in a sea of 1 trillion websites, I'm just glad people are finding you. I'm glad you're getting some gigs. That's how it all begins.
I guess.
Always the unrepentant, unrelenting optimist. A regular Pollyanna. I'm proud of you. I think you're doing a good job.
Thanks.
So, and Are You Game commented, Maximum Overdrive takes place on the greatest of all holidays, my 13th birthday, June 19th, 1987. Fair enough. My birthday's September 10th, so that was a weird 16-year-old birthday the day after. So on that note, we're going to get out of here. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us. We actually had a lot of you guys hanging out with us today, and I really do appreciate it. We'll see you guys next Wednesday, most likely, unless Michelle's too important or too fancy again. And we'll be back, and it'll be fun. I'll be able to talk about how I'm getting ready to go to the Joe Bob Briggs Drive-In Jamboree in Memphis the next day. So, and real quick, Jay Bayless said, has the story ever been told of how we met? We actually have told it a few times, but maybe we will next week if you ask.
Yeah.
Nicely. My favorite is to make Michelle have to tell it, because then she's just like, I don't know. Who are you? So until next time, Michelle, you have the final word.
I can't follow anything because my stream is like later. It's very, very difficult to know what's going on this time. There's definitely something wrong with my internet. That's all I got.
It's okay. I can't follow what's going on, and it has nothing to do with my internet. There's just something very wrong with me. So I get it.